A few months ago, I received an email from a producer from Travis Kelce's podcast saying that they wanted me, of all people, to be a guest. Now, no matter how many times my boyfriends have explained to me what football is and how to play it, I don't really get it, and I frankly don't care to. So I was really confused why they specifically wanted me to be on their podcast. I mean, yes, I'm stunning and very, very fascinating and incredibly intelligent, so it's not like we wouldn't have something to talk about, but why me? And when I started to ask myself, why me? I realized that I was falling into a pattern that I, unfortunately, am very used to falling into. I have a problem of self-sabotage, and what this often means is that when I receive requests like this, they seem too good to be true, and I inherently doubt them and don't go for them, and I just don't feel like it's ever in good faith. I always assume that it's in bad faith, and so more often than not, I say no. And in retrospect, I have missed out on a lot of opportunities that might have really substantially changed my career. And this year, I said to myself, Kat, you need to take more risks. You need to be more open-minded. You need to stop doubting yourself and start believing that you have a reason to be on Taylor Swift's boyfriend's podcast. So I ignored that little pesky voice in my head and said, fuck it. And the Virgo in me can't help but point out that I was right to be suspicious. Because did I end up on Travis Kelce's podcast? No, not at all. But I did end up with two less social media platforms and a completely different thought and approach to how I'm posting content on the internet. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, my name is katblaque, and I like to think that I make diverse media commentary for introspective hot people. And if you're here, I'll assume that's you. And if you're brand new here, you know exactly what to do if this video pleases you. Anyway, before I get into the story, let me ask you a question. Who the fuck is still on Facebook? I think I started my personal Facebook page way back in college, and I remember many a nights at an indie sleaze party giving people my Facebook after I just met them at a party, like quite literally just met them, knew nothing about them, and I was like, hey, let's become Facebook friends, right? I came from the MySpace era, so I guess stuff like that was like a little bit more common, but these days it's just crazy to even think of adding somebody to my personal Facebook page. Oh yeah, I still have one. I still maintain a personal Facebook page because I'm part of a subculture where the median age is about 35, so everybody posts events on Facebook, and I feel like if I deleted Facebook, I would 100% lose a lot of that information. And plus, I really enjoy Facebook as a way for me to keep in touch with people who I don't see in my daily life every single day. But over the past couple of years, I have gone back and forth about deleting my Facebook page because I just don't find Facebook to be a very happy place anymore. I started my Facebook fan page way back in 2014, and this was optimism back in the day because I definitely did not have the following that I currently do back in 2014, but I started it because I wanted a way to connect with my followers who followed me on YouTube, and my page became super successful. It grew and grew and grew and grew to the point where I was reaching 4 million people every single week through my Facebook page. And because I used to work for Huffington Post, I ended up getting my page verified the old-fashioned way, the old school way. And I was able to have a page that for a certain point in my career was like my biggest social media platform. And hands down, it was the number one way that I was able to get a lot of speaking gigs early on in my career. There was a time where literally everything I posted on Facebook went viral. It was crazy. I would post something and then refresh my page and there would already be 1,000 likes on the post. It feels kind of odd saying this now, but Facebook 100% is one of the main reasons why my career built up to where it currently is. One of the things I really enjoyed about my Facebook page is I used to just ask you guys questions and ask you guys for suggestions. Like one time I was in New Orleans for the first time and I was really curious where to go, where to eat, what to do. And you guys came together and gave me a bunch of suggestions. And that basically defined my entire trip to New Orleans. And I'm so thankful that I was able to have that degree of interaction with my followers who were genuinely interested in giving me real advice. Eventually, I fell out of love with Facebook, and I know that a big reason why was because I was constantly getting my posts taken down. There would be so many situations where I would be like speaking out against racism, and it would be marked as like hate speech or something, or I would be describing something that's racist, and they would think that I was just being racist, right? And so many of my posts got taken down by what I believe was the very early stages of them using AI to moderate. And it just got to a point where I was really exhausted by constantly trying to navigate through Facebook, and I eventually left Facebook for Twitter. Around the time when I stopped using my Facebook page, I had around 178,000 followers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like I said, I used to reach 4 million people per week. And back in the day, that was a pretty big deal. And as you guys know, I eventually left Twitter. I no longer use it, even though I still have a Twitter page, and I don't really miss it, honestly. I feel like the pandemic really changed a lot about me. And one of the biggest ways that it's changed me is that I find myself having less and less of a desire to be online. When I left Twitter, it was like I could feel pieces of my brain shifting back into place, and I finally had so much more energy for more productive things. For me, Twitter was a very unproductive affair, if I'm being honest. There was a lot of work that I put into Twitter that was also just taken down by censorship and things like that. And so it just became a not great place for me to be, and I left, and I really don't miss it. I am so much more invested in my offline sort of community organizing work. I run a fairly large queer and inclusive sex positive community in Los Angeles. And so for me, that's kind of become my core, my heart, the passion that I have. And I'm so much more invested in building offline community. And as much as I care, obviously, about my followers and such, I just didn't like feeling like I always needed to be tied to this damn phone. And people who text me, people who have my phone number, know that I'm terrible at responding to messages because I just don't like being tethered all the time. I just really don't. And I am the sort of person who just like throws my phone across the room when I get home because I just don't want to feel beholden to it. And what that has meant for me professionally is that I don't really use social media the way that I used to. I used to go on Facebook all day long posting stuff. I used to be on Twitter all day long posting stuff. Now, most of my social media usage is work related. And yeah, I get information from there and stuff. And yeah, I participate in some of the conversations. But in general, I'm way more invested in my offline community than my online community. And y'all have to let me know. But I think ever since I've made that change, my content on here has gotten better because I'm more excited about what I'm doing on here. I'm more passionate about what I'm doing on here. And I feel like I'm doing more productive things by honing my energy into, creating one video a month and just kind of making it a good video, right? But anyway, because I'm trying to enter into this new phase of my creator life, I am more intentionally trying to take risks. And when I got this email from Travis Kelce's producer, I looked at it as an opportunity for me to maybe do something outside of my comfort zone. So I sent the request to my agency who does all of the due diligence for my media appearances, and they apparently reached an agreement after having several conversations over Zoom. And usually when I do appearances like this, I get paid. And I'm not going to give you guys that figure because it's not your business. But I will say that the figure that Travis Kelce's team came back with was 5 times the amount that I would typically make, which, seems strange to me. But I was like, okay, but he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. So maybe that's just how he rolls. And as exciting as the money was, I was still really frustrated by the fact that they didn't have a specific reason to speak to me. That was something that really just got in the back of my head like a little worm. And if I'm being honest with you guys, one of the big reasons why I don't do a lot of appearances is because a lot of the times I've gotten requests from people who have a very bad faith interest. I have been invited by a lot of conservative, people to be on their show. And I'm just not interested in doing that sort of stuff. I'm just really, really, really not interested in doing that stuff. I like having productive conversations. And one of the reasons why I love going to colleges and universities is because I get to usually interact with younger people who are still trying to find themselves. Some people who are going through the exact same things that I went through when I was in their position. And I really was helped when I went to presentations at my college that were hosted by transgender women, right? So for me, I look at it as like, I'm kind of doing the thing that I really needed back when I was going to school, right? And so I love doing that. And those always feel so rewarding. I just spoke at Southern Mississippi University. Shout out to everybody there. And it just really touched my heart so much because I got to talk to people and I hadn't done it in a really long time. And it felt so good to have a productive conversation. And frankly, a lot of the people who want me to be on podcasts and things like that have really no interest in what I do or, the kind of work that I put out into the world. And I sort of feel like it's important to know that before having me on your show. So I was still stuck on this and I was like, why do you guys want me to be on the show? And this was starting to really bother me because it was like, they agreed to the price, they agreed to everything. And again, that little Virgo in the back of my head is like, bitch, this doesn't seem correct. But I was still trying to not self-sabotage because this is like the way that I get myself out of opportunities so frequently. I say, there's no possible reason why they would want to talk to me. And that just allows me to lose out on a lot of opportunities. So I didn't want to push them, but they really weren't giving me a reason. They really weren't giving me a topic. So this was probably one of the first real red flags for me, but they actually told me to send them a list of topics that I would be open to talking about. And again, this is kind of strange because I have an entire YouTube channel where I talk about a lot of different things. There's a lot of different conversations we can talk about. It kind of makes sense that if you're approaching me and offering to pay me money, that you would have a reason for me to be on your show, right? So it just seemed really weird to me. But again, I was trying to give myself over to the process. And also, they told me that the show was going to be a live stream. And I don't really do live streams mostly because I don't want to be harassed, right? I've never gone on a live stream without getting some degree of harassment. And, as an extension of me being less online, one of the things that I sort of accepted is that it's not productive for me to do this weird thing that I do on live streams where I'm reading the chat to engage with the chat and I have to read all these slurs and these N-words. And it's not like I'm offended by that stuff, but it's just distracting to me. And it seems like there's no way for me to exist on a live stream without that bullshit. So I was really not interested in being on a really popular live stream with a, person who probably has a large conservative audience. And so this was a really big concern of mine, and I tried to express that to the producer. And the producer told me that it was going to be a live stream, but it was going to be a pre-recorded conversation that would later be live streamed. And so at that point, I kind of had no reason to not do it, right? It's Travis Kelce, the money's cute, and it's going to be pre-recorded. What are your excuses now, right? So I said, all right, let's just do it. So we do this tech call on Zoom. And the first red flag is that the producer is not on camera. I've done a lot of tech calls for podcasts and such, and almost always everyone's on camera. Absolutely everybody. So that was a red flag, but I was still, trying not to sabotage. And so I brought up my concerns about harassment. And that's when the narrative sort of started to change, right? I was told it was going to be pre-recorded. He was trying to explain to me that no, it's going to be live streamed. And he didn't really acknowledge my concerns about harassment. He didn't really say anything about it. All he did was reiterate the amount of money that he was going to pay me and said that he was looking forward to having me on future episodes. And so for me, it was I really don't like that. This feels really uncomfortable. My agency was really excited about it, frankly, because I think of how much money they were getting paid. And so I was just in a very dejected state of mind. I just decided to go with the flow, to give myself over to this process. And so he told me to open up my Facebook page because it would be broadcasted live on Facebook, and to go into my business account and add a permission to my page so that I could broadcast simultaneously with Travis Kelce. And this seemed weird to me, but at the same time, because I hadn't been on Facebook in a really long time, I really didn't know that that was a thing to be concerned about. And so I just decided to go through the process. And I remember as I was doing this, I was really dejected. I didn't like that he didn't really talk about my concerns about harassment. And in retrospect, I look at this and I'm like, God, you're such a fucking pushover. But that's like the constant thing I'm trying to go through. And I feel like if you don't have thoughts like this, you probably don't get where I'm coming from. I am always assuming the worst about opportunities like this. That is the first thought that comes to my head. Maybe it's because of survival instincts and things like that. I'm always trying to think of the first thing. And like I said, I've missed out on a lot of opportunities because I have thought like that, right? As I'm putting these permissions into Zoom, I think my agency starts to finally get uncomfortable and they stop the broadcast prematurely. And at that point, one of my agents is like, hey, let's get Travis Kelce on camera before we go live tomorrow to actually go over all of this. Let's have like a pre-call tomorrow. And I was flabbergasted at that point because I was like, oh, so you guys set all of this up, but like never had a conversation with Travis Kelce? To me, that would be step number one, but I guess I understand, why he wouldn't be available. He is Taylor Swift's boyfriend, so maybe he's busy. I don't know. But that kind of blew my mind, honestly. That blew my mind. So I ended the call basically feeling like, there's a slim chance that this is real, but it probably isn't. And I immediately went to my Facebook page and tried to remove the little permission that I just added, but I was unable to. And the next day, they added several obviously fake accounts to the page. They gave them admin permission, and those accounts slowly but surely removed every backup account that I had on that page, and I was completely removed from accessing my own Facebook page. One of the people who helped me out was Francesca Ramsey, who also fell for the same exact scam because, surprise, surprise, I was scammed. And aside from capitalism, this is the first time that I've ever really been scammed. And what's really funny about all of this? After I dealt with all of this bullshit, I got another email from what I now registered as a fake podcast request. And this podcast request was from DJ Envy. And when I read that page, I realized that I'd been receiving several requests from different podcasts that were all fake. I really want to stress that this was not an obvious scam. I've received so many emails from real podcasts that very much turned out to be real that look exactly like these emails. It's not uncommon for me to get a request from a big podcast, right? My agency went back and forth with them. And what I realized is that these hackers are so dedicated to getting control of these Facebook pages that they will literally commit to the bit over the course of months just to get to the point where they have that tech call and ultimately take over the Facebook page. It was not obvious. Hindsight is 2020. It's obvious to me now, but when I was going through all of this, it didn't seem obvious. This is apparently a very popular scam that's happening right now, where hackers are taking Facebook pages that have verification on them and turning them into essentially algorithm farms. So I have several friends and partners who know people at Meta, and I was able to send in my information to some of those people. And each one of those people who tried to help me internally was told that they were getting the runaround. Some even told me that they were being more evasive than they usually are. As hackers took over my page, I'm going to be completely honest, I did not handle it well. So I made the mistake of giving my own power to someone else, to another company. And I'm having a very, very hard time with that, because the ultimate conclusion of what happened here is I no longer have access to my Facebook page that has all of my personal information on it, that is verified, that I worked incredibly hard to build, that I spent a lot of time building, and it's just gone because I trusted the wrong people. It's a verified page. It requires a lot to get there, right? And you can't get it like that anymore. I will never be able to get a verified page like that ever again. This is part of why I'm so upset. For the past couple of days, I have been fighting for my Facebook page. I have been fighting for my Facebook page. Because hackers, of course, got into it from the account. And now someone in fucking India and Vietnam has a page that says katblaque, that's verified, that's my fucking page. So if you're on my Facebook page right now and you see that, know that that's not me. I'm sure they're filling it up with all this AI art bullshit. I'm so immensely upset about this. I don't know if I want to work with my agency ever again. To me, this is like a big fucking deal. The amount of money that I was supposed to make from this is not worth my Facebook page at all. At all. I'm so fucking done with this. I'm so done with giving my power to other people. I don't fucking need that at all at this point in my fucking life. I don't need it at all. So yeah, as you see, I was going through it. But I'll be honest, of the things that have happened to me recently, this has been a really big thing that has really shifted the way that I feel about posting content on the internet, because there were so many things that came from this that shifted my perspective. Have you guys heard of the dead internet theory? It's essentially this theory where a couple of years ago, the internet as we know it no longer exists. And instead, it's been replaced by a simulation. Really what it means is that now our social media is so overrun by fake accounts pretending to be real people in order to get you to engage with these websites that the internet as we know it is no longer as user-generated as it once was. The very first change on my Facebook page was a very ugly avatar of a very obviously AI-generated flower. Also, they started running these terrible ads on my page. There would be like a blonde news reporter who was probably AI generated to begin with, next to what looked like night vision images of her spreading her legs and doing all types of crazy shit. And that would be posted on my Facebook page with my name and a verified check mark next to it. They also started posting these fake and inflammatory posts about Indian celebrities and Russian celebrities that would each get really angry responses whenever I looked at the page. Like, I kind of understood why they took my page, right? It's a verified page with 178,000 followers, right? But what really got to me was that like all of this content can't possibly translate into any financial gain for them, because even when I was using my Facebook page, I didn't make any money from it, right? Like I never made any money from Facebook. I make money on Instagram from time to time, but when it comes to Facebook, even when I tried to use it recently, I wasn't really reaching the people in the way that I used to reach people. Even when my page was getting 4 million views a week, I was not making money from that. And when I tried to get support for this, it was an absolute nightmare. Every frequently asked questions answer to this hacked issue was to go to facebook.com/hacked, which really only added a new email to your account. And my issue was not that somebody got into my account. It was that I gave somebody back-end access through my business account to change things on my page. And I could not, on my end, remove that permission at all. As my agency was trying to help me, one of the people that they were speaking to at Meta told me that if I was going to get support, I should sign up for Meta Verified. So I signed up for Meta Verified thinking that this would give me direct access to a real human being that would actually be able to help me. And instead, the email that I got back was, go to facebook.com/hacked. I was so livid. Eventually, when I pushed the issue, I got a real comprehensive email from them back, And mind you, at this point, I had been trying to get my Facebook page back for a month. I'm not even exaggerating. I spent an entire month going back and forth with Facebook, sending messages to everybody that I knew at Meta, trying to get somebody to help me. I eventually get to this particular point after buying Meta Verify, and they tell me that I'm speaking to the wrong department. Apparently, I need to go speak to the business and ads section of Facebook. And by this point, I just do not give a fuck. And eventually I did end up submitting a report to the business ads and whatever department, but to this day, I've heard nothing from them. I have spoken to so many people at Meta. None of them have been able to help me. And I really have reached a point where I don't care. And I realized that this issue with Facebook is very indicative of where the internet is going, right? I left Facebook because I was so tired of these AI tools marking things as hate when they were not hate, right? I got so frustrated with all of the fake bullshit on Facebook. I don't know if you've ever been on Facebook. For those of you guys who are not on Facebook right now, there are so many fake stories, fake pictures, AI generated bullshit. Like, Facebook is a significantly more spammy platform than it was when I was more regularly using the platform for my own work, right? Like, it is just trashy now. Even before all of this happened, when I would look at my pages feed, there seem to be a lot of pages that just post AI art now. That's entirely what's on Facebook. And you go to the comment section and you read the comments, and they're from people who are very obviously not real, right? It's a lot of fake content that is created for people who are real to engage with. And it creates a very bizarre experience on Facebook that, if I'm being frank, is really quite miserable. The only aspects of Facebook that I genuinely appreciate are the user-generated portions that are created by people that I know. And the thing is, Facebook has an issue with less and less people signing up for the website, right? No one really wants to be on Facebook these days. No one's really interested in having a Facebook account. Low-key, if you have a Facebook account, you're kind of an old person to a lot of people, right? And now having this experience where I am a creator who was initially verified on Facebook because I was publishing content on other websites and my voice was known enough to be verified on Facebook. And now I can't even speak to a real person who can help me take these hackers off of my page that has my face on it and my verified check mark, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. It really, really doesn't make sense. What's funny is those hackers actually also got into my Twitter. They took control of my Twitter and I didn't have access to it for a bit. It was really bizarre. I saw that someone was trying to get into there and I went and added two-factor verification. And quite literally, they went into the account, changed my username, removed the two-factor verification, and I was locked out of the account for a little bit. I went to Twitter, filed a little report, and within a few days, I was let back into my Twitter account. I would say that Meta should be embarrassed that Twitter had a more rapid response than they did. But something that I realized through this entire process is that Meta does not at all value me as a creator. Meta does not at all care about the 10 years that I've spent building up my platform on Facebook. And that is fascinating to me when I compare it to other websites like YouTube, where the platform has shown me love for being on there for so long. Meta basically put me in a situation where I couldn't talk to a real person. I had to pay for the very idea that I could possibly talk to a real person. And even when I did, I still didn't. And I still don't have access to my Facebook page. There could not be a clearer fuck you than that. It seems strange to say, but it was traumatic, honestly, to have my Facebook page just so quickly taken from me, right? I've built up that page over the space of 10 years of my life. There are so many deeply personal things that I shared on my Facebook page, so much energy that I spent putting into that page, and just like that, it was gone. They took it. And it really messed with me. But it also forced me to really think about how I post content on the internet and where I post content on the internet. So I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but I started as a writer. And as the world turns the way that it turns, I feel more of a desire to write my experiences down. Writing for me has always been, in so many ways, my rawest form of communication. I started on Xanga. Xanga is where I got a lot of my passion for creating blogs and for doing the type of media that I do right now. I definitely used to write essays all the time on my Xanga, and that is a big reason why it's one of my main forms of communication here. And a couple of years ago, I decided to start my blog, blackeinthecity.com, and my initial thought with that blog is it would be my more official place to share like my elevated writing, right? Because back in the Xanga days, I used to just like vent and talk about life and just like share whatever was on my mind and on my heart in that moment. I forgot how freeing that used to be. What was so frustrating to me about having my Facebook page taken down and also having my Twitter hacked is that I spent a lot of time posting shit on there. And it was frustrating to realize that a lot of that stuff just doesn't exist anymore, you know? And I realized that it was really important for me to put my stuff somewhere else, to commit a lot of the things that I want to say to a written platform, right? As the world turns the way that it turns, it's going to become increasingly important for me to have a website where I share what I have to say in its fullest form. I've kind of lost sight of the fact that posting on here, posting on Twitter, posting on Facebook comes with this pressure to self-censor that I didn't have when I was posting on Xanga or any of my other blogs back in the day. I miss that. I miss that a lot. And so something that I'm going to start doing a lot more of is writing on my blog. So if you're interested, go to blackeinthecity.com. That is where my blog will mostly live. But I also now have a Substack. Go to katblaque.substack.com. If you're interested in getting notifications and such about my blog, go over to Substack. That's probably the best way to do it. Ever since my internet habits have changed, I feel this wave of creativity come back to me. And I feel excited about a lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now. I'm sorry that I'm not uploading as frequently as I used to, but trust me when I say that the content that I have coming up is going to be some of my best content. And I'm really, really excited to retreat into a type of creativity that I've lost sight of because I've become so tied to algorithms and SEO and da-da-da-da-da. I truly feel like I'm in a new era as a content creator. And I'm really, really excited to share with you guys what I'm working on currently. If you're ever curious to know what's going on behind the scenes and what's on my mind and what I'm up to, consider joining me on Patreon. That is probably the best way to do it. I upload a lot of vlogs about my work and such, and I talk to you guys about all the stuff. Like when I was going through all this, girl, I made so many videos on my Patreon about it. So if you're interested, go over there. That's the best way to check me out. Now, if you are on Facebook, I did start a new Facebook page. It only has 10 followers right now, and I can't give you guys a URL because I don't have enough followers yet. So if you're on Facebook, please go and look up katblaque. Right now, my avatar is the pink avatar. So please click on that. There should be some posts on there. And also some of you guys have noticed that I now have several different YouTube channels that all sort of have different themes and different conversations. I upload a lot of my TikTok videos to my Black in the City YouTube page. And I have Movies in My Closet, which is now my channel where I discuss TV and film. And I've got several other things going on. So if you're interested, please click on some of those links in the pinned comment. It would mean the world to me, especially as I try to build up these new platforms after having one of my biggest ones taken from me. And before I go, I want to reiterate what I said earlier. I am still very much available for college and university presentations. I love meeting students. I love having conversations about YouTube, about being trans. It's just my heart. So if you're interested, have your student organization contact my agent. But anyway, that is how I got hacked by Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Shout out to Travis Kelce, who had nothing to do with this. On that note, I will leave you guys with this. I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye.